Hello and welcome to Next Steps for Seniors Conversations on Aging. I am your host, Wendy Jones. So blessed to be a host, by the way. I don't take this for granted. I absolutely love sharing information with everybody, families, and especially our sweet seniors. But our topic today is a little different because we are going to be talking about you and the best thing that you can leave to your children. And we have a guest in the studio today. Her name is Lori Ann Rickard, and she is a highly experienced attorney with extensive knowledge in estate planning, probate, and asset protection. She works with individuals, families, business owners to create customized estate plans, and that is to preserve wealth, minimize taxes, and provide the long term security for our future generations. She is an author. Yes, she has written 9 books and numerous articles and frequently speaks on topics related to estate planning and healthcare compliance. So I am so blessed to have you in the studio today, Lorianne. Thank you for being with us.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Wendy. We're so excited to be here with you.
Absolutely. And you founded Rickard and Associates in 2000.
Yep. I have been practicing law for 39 years, and I've had my own law practice for 26 now. So
just a few years.
I started when I was 8.
Listen, there's a lot of knowledge that goes along with that time.
Right.
And that's why you're here today, because we're here to learn. Because Lori, and I can't even tell you how many people have asked me, what do I need to do to give money to my children? And they say it all the time. I just want to give money to my kids. I just want to share with them. I want to save enough so that they have something. They say it every time I talk to them. But the reality is there's a lot that goes into that, right?
Yep, absolutely. And, you, like I, talk to seniors almost every day. And, it's important to save for your kids, but it's also important, the other documents that are involved is really important for your health care and your financial well-being while you're alive too. So we have to take care of the living and then, make sure that when you pass, things are done appropriately too. It's really a whole package, and you've got to think about it from start to finish.
So what would you say is one of the biggest things? Is it an estate plan? Is that right?
Yes.
Because people say, oh, I don't have enough money for an estate plan.
Right. Well, I think that, my response to that generally is that most people don't have enough to not have an estate plan.
Okay, well,
because
there's that. Yes.
Not having one is actually a very costly thing. People think that when they don't have a plan, that what will happen is, my money will just go to my spouse or my money will just go to my kids. But really, in the state of Michigan, what you're deciding by not having anything is you're just going to let the state of Michigan decide for you as to where your assets go.
Okay, so let me think about that for a second. The state decides or you decide?
Right.
I mean, it's like, of course you don't want the state making decisions, but people don't realize that.
Right. And I think that is the problem, right? Is that, like most things, it seems like it's more complicated than it is. And so it becomes overwhelming. And so you don't do anything about it. And in point of fact, especially when you're a senior, you want to have things in place so that if you need help with your finances, you have a power of attorney. If you're in the hospital and you can't make decisions for yourself, say you're in the ICU for a couple of days, you need a durable power of attorney so people can help you with those medical decisions. All those documents, when we talk about an estate plan, are included in it. It's not just what happens when you pass, although that's important too. You need to have all the things in place in order to make sure that as you age, you can do it easily, and you have all the pieces and parts that makes things easier for you.
Right. Because what I always think, and this is what we talk to our clients a lot about, is it's not what if you pass, what if you live?
Right.
And what if you're not healthy? 70% of people need some kind of care as they age. So chances are high that's going to be you.
Right.
70% is a high number.
Absolutely.
Let's be realistic, right?
And 100% of us are going to die. So
Right.
you've got,
There's that.
70% of people that really do need those various things in place. And unfortunately, what I see every day, and I'm sure what you see too, is those people that don't have resources, that don't have a plan, and just how badly things go. If what you end up is somebody in your family is trying to get guardianship over you in a court proceeding when you actually need, some pretty immediate help. Courts are slow, they're costly, and it's generally never a good idea to leave it to a court.
It's called probate,
Right.
when you go through that. So if you've heard just for our listeners, if you've heard the name probate, that's exactly what happens. It's someone that didn't have everything lined up exactly, so they had something to go through probate.
Right. It's people that have nothing, but it's also people that have wills. People think that a will is enough for an estate plan, but what they don't understand is that a will has to go through probate. And probate's very expensive. You end up spending 15 to sometimes 25% or more of your assets just on the fees for the court.
And it takes forever from what I've heard, right? Like a year.
Yeah, year and a half. In Wayne
goodness.
County, where Detroit is and some of the surrounding suburbs, can literally be a year and a half before you get a court hearing. And Oakland and Macomb and some of the other counties are similarly slow because it's a court. They have a lot of other things going on.
And it's different for every state too, nationwide, I'm guessing. So you need to look into that. But so talk to us a little bit about this wills versus an estate or a trust, right? The will versus the trust. Because you said wills still go through probate, which I don't think a lot of people know that.
Right. So I think the common misperception is that if I have a lot of money, I get a trust. That's for rich people. And that, for most people, a simple will is suffice. And really, for the most part, people who need an estate plan need a revocable living trust. What that means is you're the trustee during your lifetime. You can change it. You can do anything that you want with it, but you're going to avoid going to probate court. With a will, it's a very public document. Anybody can look up your will and see who you inherit, who you're going to have.
I did not know that.
Yep. It's just like anything. You could just go right now and see any probate case I'm handling right now. You could see all the pleadings because it's a public forum, the court, right? So when you really talk to people and say, do you want it to be public? Do you want to spend the expenses of going to probate court? And, probate judges are human beings. I mean, they hopefully will do what you like them to do, but they have a lot of things going on. And obviously you can have a lot of other people in your family that come and object. And sometimes what ends up coming out of probate court is not what the person wanted at all. And so for the most part, if you have any kind of assets, a house, a bank account, a 401k, an IRA, anything, you're really going to want that revocable living trust. It's not much more expensive than a will to get done, but you need those other documents, the power of attorney, the durable power of attorney, the living will, those things as you're talking about that you need during your lifetime that will help you avoid having somebody have to file for guardianship and those kinds of things.
Well, and I had a client recently who had a stroke and literally just did the power of attorney, like probably 2 weeks before. It was almost like she knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
But if anyone's listening to this program right now and they do not have those 4 documents that Lorianne just said, I can't even begin to express enough how important that is. I would say, if I had to guess, 15% of the people, maybe 20, that call my office we get hundreds of calls a week. I would guess tops 20% have those documents in place.
Right.
And all the people that call, guess what? Tragic. Something happened. Someone's in the hospital. Someone died. I mean, it's just a mess when they call us. So the reality is, please, the first question we ask, who's the power of attorney?
Yeah.
Who is going to make the decisions for your mom, for your dad, for your aunt, for your husband? when they're incapacitated.
Right.
And
And the other important part of that is that if you go to the hospital tomorrow, I used to be corporate counsel for a large health system. They're going to want you to sign some documents, but those documents are to the benefit of that hospital. They're not necessarily what you need. So you want to, like you said, be proactive and get those documents done so that you know they're what you need if in
right.
fact you need care.
And if you're thinking right now, oh, I'll do that when I go to the hospital. Well, guess what? Nobody knows.
Right.
You have no idea when you're going to need it. So
Right.
get it done now. Don't
Yeah.
procrastinate. If there's one
Absolutely.
message, yes. But we're going to move into the next segment. We want to talk about the kids. A lot of parents want to leave just finances, house, whatever to the children. And I feel like it's a confusing topic for people. So we're going to move into that in just a moment. If you can share your phone number or how to get a hold of you first before we take that break.
So my office is Rickard and Associates. We're in St. Clair Shores, Michigan, but we go all over. I'm licensed in Florida as well because I have a lot of clients that go back and forth. And so our office number is 586-498-0600. And you can easily Google us or see us on any social media and get our contact information.
Hello, and welcome to Next Steps for Seniors, Conversations on Aging. As you all know, our guest in the studio is Lori Ann Rickard, and she is from Rickard and Associates, which she founded in 2000 after years of being a partner at Clark Hill and just serving our health systems. I mean, you're an author. She's wrote some amazing books. And I just feel like your knowledge is so important to all of us right now because this is a component that not many people understand, right? I mean, we're talking about what's the best thing to leave to your children. And I'll tell you this, moving into this segment, one of the questions that people ask me all the time, or I should say, tell me, is I'm just going to leave my house to my kids because most people have a house, right?
Right.
So in their minds, they're like, I'm just going to leave my house to my kids. However, you need to talk to us about that because isn't there a lot that goes along with you can't just say that, right?
Exactly. I think that I totally agree with you that people really look at their house as being one of the assets that they can pass on, whether their kids sell it or somebody can live there. But you've got to think about, as we talked about in the last segment, really most people need a revocable living trust, but the trust is just really a basket. It's a basket, you come in, you get a book, you sign all these documents, you get your power of attorney, all of those things. But the second part of the trust to make it work is what we call funding, which means we're taking our assets and we're putting it in that basket. Okay. So for the house, a lot of people think, oh, I'll put my children's name on the
House.
deed.
Yeah.
And that is actually a very bad idea because you're trying to avoid probate. But by doing that, you can actually cause the house to be, cause your children to have to pay a lot of tax on that house, which you could avoid if you would just put it in the trust. And you also are subjecting the house to all the problems that those children might encounter: a divorce, a bankruptcy, creditor issues. If their name's on your house, it becomes a marital asset for them when they're getting divorced.
Oh boy, that could be complicated.
Exactly. So I always say to people, if you're going to put your child's name on your house, you better have a crystal ball because you better know what's going to happen in the future. And that is actually not a good planning strategy. What you want to do for instance, in the state of Michigan, we have something called a ladybird deed. And a ladybird deed is just a deed my office drafts that says you own your house. You have a lifetime life estate in that house. You can buy it, sell it, reverse mortgage it, anything you want. But upon your death, boom, it goes into the trust. And then you can have your house distributed exactly as you want, because you would say that in your trust. So say
it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Well, everybody should have a ladybird deed.
Exactly. And most people will think they should avoid that But for instance, and this is a little more complex, but say you bought your house for $50,000 and at the time of your death, the house is worth $200,000. If you just add somebody's name to that deed, they may have to pay the capital gains, the difference between 250.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. So you meet these children who say, "Oh, my mom gave me my house, but now I got to pay all these taxes." If you just do it with a ladybird deed, you actually get that what we call the stepped up basis to that $200,000 when you pass, and so the kids get it tax free.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So there's a lot of reasons to do a ladybird deed, and we're very lucky in Michigan that we're allowed to do that. In some states, they
What about
don't
Florida?
allow.
Does
In Florida, they don't have a ladybird
Isn't
deed.
that interesting?
But we would in Florida just take your house and put it. We put it in the trust in Florida.
Well, most of the states you can just put
Yeah,
it in the trust if there's no
exactly.
ladybird deed. But I mean, how many people I have talked to that put their kids' names on their house? I can't even begin to tell you.
Yeah. The other thing that always happens is the cottage up north, right? People
Oh,
just, oh, Johnny and Susie always like to go up there, so I'm going to put their name on the deed. And that's why you see some of these properties up north in Michigan that are deteriorated because the kids can't afford to upkeep the house. And you'll get one kid who wants to keep the house. The other kid doesn't want to keep the house. Somebody who's moved to Tennessee, they don't care about the cottage up north. It's an unmitigated disaster. And we have all of these cottages that get sold, whether they're in Florida, a condo in Florida or a cottage up north, that actually, you should talk to your estate planning attorney about how to do that more effectively. You put the cottage in the trust, just like you do a ladybird deed for the cottage, and then you take care of that cottage or allow a child to buy it. But in point of fact, it's so much more fair for the kids because if nobody can afford to keep up that cottage, their trustee sells it, they get the money from it.
It's a
and
mess.
everybody's much happier that way.
Yep. It could be an absolute disaster or it could be an absolute perfect scenario. So
Yep.
you choose.
Yeah. And I literally have cottages where people haven't been able to sell them for, 30, 40 years because nobody can decide and it just becomes a huge problem.
What a bummer. What a bummer. So one more question on that and first I just want to stress, please do not try to do any of this alone. It is so important to have a trusted person like Lorianne because her organization, Rickard and Associates, does this every day. They know all the ins and outs. They know all the things you need to know. Don't try to figure this out in Google. Google is not your best friend.
Right.
I say this about finding senior living too. I'm like, don't go to Google, please.
Exactly. And it is really very much like finding an assisted living. You do that every day.
I do it every day. Why would you try to do it by yourself?
These ads you see on TV where a sports star is using the internet to create their trust, I can guarantee you that person didn't do their trust on the internet. They're just getting paid for that ad.
Exactly. So what about bank accounts? I just have to ask you that really quick because that's the next thing. I'm just going to put my kid's name on the bank account.
Well, again, I think we do these things because we're trying to avoid probate, but in fact, we're subjecting that bank account to all the other courts, bankruptcy court, divorce court, a creditor issue. So, I think you're putting your child's name on the bank account, not because you're expecting that child could take all of the money or that bank account could go as a marital asset in their divorce, but in point of fact, that's what you're doing when you put their name on it. You could have no money in that bank account tomorrow if in fact, because that child has just as much right to it as you do. So again, we walk our clients through that funding as to what to do to get those bank accounts in the basket, in that trust.
Thank you. I mean, honestly, thank you for what you do every day. I can see your passion. You care about people. You want them to do the right thing, and you're here for them. And that's why you're here today to educate us. So I'm so appreciative. So I just want to stress how important it is to have a trusted estate planning attorney because there are people out there fly by night. What should they be looking for? I mean, obviously I want them to call you. We're going to give your number. So please get your pen and paper ready. but there are specific things that you have that many people don't have. Tell us.
Absolutely. It's just no different than picking a doctor or picking somebody who knows about assisted living. You want to ask them, how long have you been doing this? My brother practices with me. He's practiced for over 50 years. Is it somebody who really this is their passion, their purpose? It's not somebody who just bought a software program and this is what they're trying to do straight out of law school, or even somebody who really didn't do it for their career but is trying to do it in retirement. You want to ask them very specifically, have one of the things I would ask is, do you go to probate court? So many estate planning attorneys, they'll do your trust, but if you have a problem and there's litigation, they won't go to probate court with you. And then you've got to change attorneys.
Well, that's the most difficult part. Are you
Right.
kidding me? So you want someone that will do that with
Yeah,
you.
because you don't want to have to change attorneys because that's very expensive. So you want to ask those questions about whether they're truly an expert.
Right. And you want to trust them. I mean, we're building rapport right now, and this is what's important. If they don't give you the time of day, I mean, oh gosh.
Well, and I think also ask them how long it's going to take them to get your trust. I mean, you'll come in for 2-3 hours to meet with them to go over all these intimate details of your family. If they're not going to get you the trust for 9 months, that's ridiculous in
Okay,
my
well, there you
opinion.
go.
You
Mhm.
waited a long time to do your trust. You want it done. How long is that going to take? And I would ask them that question.
And the buckets you talked about, you can't just do the trust. You have to fund the trust, meaning put all the stuff in it.
Right. And you need somebody who's going to walk you through those steps. I can't tell you how many financial planners and other experts will say to me, gosh, it's frustrating because we got the trust, but they didn't put any of their assets in it. So you got to go to probate court anyways.
Yeah. So what good is it?
Yeah.
So this is very, very important in closing. I just want to say, please, if you get the trust, you've got to fund it, meaning put the items in it. So the house is in the name of the trust, for
Right.
example, correct? Okay. I just want to make sure I did learn something today.
Good. You're listening. That's excellent.
Please share your phone number again, how people can get a hold of you. This is valuable information.
It's Rickard and Associates. We're in St. Clair Shores, Michigan. The number is 586-498-0600.
And please reach out to her, even if you're in another state, because she can connect you if she can't help you.
Absolutely.
You're listening to Next Steps for Seniors, Conversations on Aging.